Must you constantly look annoyed at me? As you can see, we have a new soundboard. Tim will use it aggressively towards me, apparently. Oh, no. Your Opinion Stinks opens the conversation on a hot button business topic.
And flips it on its head.
Hosted by a wellness coach
and a business coach.
We break down conventional business
while building entrepreneurs up for success. Who will you agree with?
Welcome to Your Opinion Stinks. I'm Tanisha.
And I'm Tim. Thank you for watching the show. Don't forget to subscribe, no matter where you are in the world. If you're in the iTunes or anywhere you listen to podcasts, subscribe there. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe. And don't forget to hit that alert button because, we're putting up content.
Yes, there are people all over the world.
Well, yes, there's people all over the world.
No. I mean.
Great observation.
Guess what? People live all over the world. No. I mean, there are people all over the world watching already. That's so exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
We're international, y'all.
Yeah. All right.
We have a new soundboard.
Yeah. If we're not promoting enough Apple product here. Yeah. Tim Cook, Tim Apple. Yo, you need to send us some swag, dude.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
You're crazy.
I like Tim Cook.
Okay. So, today we are debating entrepreneurial style.
Yeah.
And that's not entrepreneurial style like your work style. No, we're talking about clothes and hair and accessories.
And hats.
And hats like this. Yes, we're starting with a thesis statement today.
A thesis statement.
Not a definition. Because that feels more appropriate today. Because the debate we're having is we're just going to talk about some questions I prepared, some topics. I don't know how much agreement we'll have.
I have no idea did you hit something?
I hope not.
Okay, I guess we'll find out.
So I don't know. Today is going to be kind of a crapshoot. But since it's not the typical definition, I was thinking maybe we should have different music and a different feel.
Okay.
Rather than the boom, 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 boom. Since it's a thesis statement, maybe it should be, I feel like it should be more like academic. Like for those just listening, I'm giving shoulder. I'm just like, like I'm wearing a monocle going, that kind of music. Oh.
This is working out great.
Oh, see, you're just gonna, I'm never gonna. This was my idea, and I'm never gonna use it. And you're just gonna tell me I'm wrong all the time with it. Oh my.
Get to it.
So yes, all right, fine. Thesis statement. This comes from Jim Joseph, marketing and branding, authoring, extraordinary person.
Okay. And
he contributed an article to entrepreneur.com a few years ago. So it's older, but it's still very relevant. And he said something in the article that I think is a good way for us to frame our discussion.
Okay.
And this may even end up being a multi-part thing because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to personal style and branding and how to do that entrepreneur thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, okay. Thesis. He's doing it already. He's no. He's making. not lewd gestures. Inappropriate gestures while I'm reading. Okay. Thesis. Oh, okay, let me find the right voice. Your, yes, there it is.
Come on.
Your packaging is the outward-facing communication you give to those around you, including your clothing, hair, makeup, accessories, etc. Just like any brand, your quote-unquote packaging should be purposeful and determined. I'm Jim Joseph, and I approved this thesis. No, he didn't. He didn't.
Okay.
Wait, that'll work, right?
Yeah, that's fine. That's a good framework to work in.
Yeah, it's your packaging. I'd never quite thought of it that way. We're making those kinds of decisions all the time at the store and whatever, like that. Like, yes, oh, that says all the right things to me. That implies things that I'm not even aware of.
Yep.
In the cart. Oh.
All right.
That was a good one.
So where are we going with this?
So I'm going to say some questions and we can just talk about them.
All right.
Though it's interesting, something I noticed while I was researching this is that it's a little difficult to find this specific type of information on the internet, first of all, because there's so much overlapping terminology.
You talking about branding?
Well, not branding in general, but personal style as it relates to business, because it's so easy to also speak of your personal work style.
Okay.
So there's a lot of overlapping terminology. And something I noticed is if you do get to the articles about personal style, for when you're talking the 9-to-5 space, sort of office setting, typical office setting, those types of articles are aimed more towards women and getting ahead and being taken seriously and being appropriate. Whereas if you're in the entrepreneurship space, it's more aimed at men.
Yeah.
And all particularly like more hipster style men.
Depends on where you are in it.
Or more the sort of Instagram professional, like sort of young and hip and hoodie with a cool logo on it type of guys.
I guess so.
That's what I was finding. There's a surprising number of entrepreneur style brands that lean towards that.
Yeah.
That IG.
Yeah, there's a lot
I'm
of
so cool.
attitude
I
type of.
wear hoodies at the pool.
Yeah. There's a lot of that.
Do they do that? I think I made that up. That's no shade.
I mean, I do it.
You wore a hoodie at the pool?
Yeah. I wear hoodies at pools. I wear hoodies at pool parties. I wear hoodies all the time.
Wear hoodies everywhere.
Yes.
You really like hoodies.
All right. So what's up?
All right. Well, here's question 1. How do we maneuver the tension between attracting clients and colleagues to our businesses that align with who we are versus taking full advantage of first impressions and avoiding negative stereotyping?
So I can just go at this?
Yeah, sure.
All right. A part of me feels like there's a client for every service provider, every purveyor. Like me in business, there's certain people that I will attract above and beyond anyone else. And primarily it's because of the way I speak, the way I sell my wares, the way I attract people, both physically and vocally, audibly. And that does lend into style. there is a good sense of who you would work best with, just based off of the packaging, like the kind of the definition thing says.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of fall in the lines of, depending on what you're doing, who you're serving, how you're serving them, that's going to be the barometer as to who you work best with, who you're going to pull in the best for any business. Like, for instance, there's some people who dress really corporate in the cubicle style, and then when they translate out onto their own, they take that with them. And in some places, there's an expectation that is the way that you look, like you're fully posh, clean, press, button down, nice tie, suit, your hair cut a certain way, just nails, manicure, all the things that we would expect in an office space. But in some places, there's the ability to be more casual, and there's no right or wrong, points in my opinion as to what someone should do. It's more so finding the client that is receptive to that, because you can find the person who is a straight professional that will love someone that looks completely out the box, because they might be attracted to that shakeup, or they might be the person that gets totally put off by it because they have an expectation that, the people that I work with carry themselves a certain way.
But I can imagine a scenario in which an entrepreneur is building a personal brand that is fundamentally at odds with their ideal client. So they think they are successfully attracting a particular type of person, and they continue the grind, not knowing they're actually turning off that person. Because I'm just thinking about the person you want to attract and think you're attracting may not be the person you are attracting.
Well, that's a given. I mean, that can happen in any situation. I mean, there's tons of people in my space that look more casual than I do on occasion. Mm-hmm. And they get like high level, high ticket clients. Mm-hmm. And it's because of their messaging, not necessarily because of their appearance. For some of them, they just sell their messaging so much better that they don't have to worry about I'm there in a funny t-shirt and jeans.
But isn't it also about where you're selling your messaging?
Because that's a big part of it.
Your roots are in the internet marketing space.
Yep.
So you don't have to be wearing anything. You're on your computer. You can present whatever image and information and brand with your words and products and one picture you put up and your personal style, because your clients are just on the internet. You're not worried about going to a corporate event or whatever.
Okay, I'm gonna throw this. I'm gonna throw this out there. Deadbeat Dan, shout out to Deadbeat. He goes around in a flannel bathrobe and droopy, dragging white socks and house slippers, right?
Okay.
Now, I can't imagine him going into a boardroom like that.
Sure.
That might be a bit of a catch right there, yeah. But he's able to sell his brand and himself with this gimmicky, comical person, yeah.
Yes.
And that's his brand. That's you see him in that flannel, what are they called? It's not a nightgown and it's not a pajamas. It's the thing that goes on top of pajamas.
House coat.
Sure, let's call it a house coat. That's very urban.
Is it?
I don't think it's a robe.
Oh. Where did I get house coat? Did you say house coat?
I don't ever call anything a house coat.
I'm not even sure I know what a house coat is.
Yes, it is, because you wear one.
I do?
It's a robe. Just a slang is a house code.
I don't. That's not.
All right, that's a sidebar for that's way beyond the scope of this thing. All right, the fact that he wears this robe and he's able to make his people love him.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is that attracts them first, and then they get to know him, and then they buy into him. That speaks more volumes to me than the whole thing of you have to suit up.
And I don't debate any of that. Everything you said makes perfect sense. I guess I'm having trouble.
It just depends on where you are.
I'm having trouble pinpointing the potential problem in that approach. It feels a little too like, well, I'm just gonna be whatever I am.
Well, no,
and
there's
whoever
a
I
problem.
attract is the right person.
No, it's who you attract. You can sort them out.
Okay, this might be a better way of explaining it. Let's say the pool of people who are a great fit for me professionally is this big. I think this is what I'm getting at. It's this big.
Yeah.
So the persona A that I'm putting forward is only carving out this much of it because I'm turning off all these other people.
Okay.
But I have no idea because it feels good and I'm attracting a much smaller segment. But if I were to tweak something, not abandon it, not put on a suit, but tweak it, what if I changed this to this?
Okay. My answer to that. My answer to that would be, what is your metric? What are you using to quantify what is success and what isn't?
I don't know.
And that right there would be the killing point.
Because
like,
to quantify.
If you're trying to say that you're trying to go for this pond of fish, but you only attract the minnows that are in the middle.
Yeah.
But you want to attract a little bit of the sharks before you get to the whales.
Yeah.
Then something has to tell you, okay, I'm hitting the mark. And most of the time that's money. That's a financial thing. That's something saying that this particular financial goal is saying I'm doing what I need to do. If not, I need to tweak something. It's no different than any other business. So if you want to break it down in the whole thing of brand, then maybe yes. If you see that you're only attracting minnows and you want to get to the sharks, and maybe you take a look at the sharks and you see the sharks are not wearing fossils, they're wearing Rolex. Well, maybe you got to step up to the Rolex. Maybe you don't. But there could be those cues that could say, okay, for me to fit in a certain area, I might have to adjust. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that's a hard, fast rule because, it depends on the space you're in. That's my thoughts.
How do you know when you've penetrated that pool?
When you start seeing that you have those people that you're attracting. I mean, it's very simple.
No, but I guess I'm trying to understand the outer edge.
You're throwing out something, in my opinion, that's very theoretical.
It's irrelevant. I
don't know that that is irrelevant. I think there's relevance in everything. I think that there needs to be more of a button down idea as to what the metric is. I'll give you a perfect example. Shout out to Imani.
Hi, Imani.
Imani's style is crazy.
I love her.
Every time she goes out anywhere, she turns heads. And the people that she wants to attract, all of a sudden, just instantaneously get attracted to her. Now, it doesn't mean that she's going out purposely trying to get like the $1 million baby type person, or she's trying to get the person around the way. Just certain people will be attracted by her style. Certain people will be attracted by her personality. And those things sell to certain people. She might sell to someone that has deep pockets. She might sell to someone that has no pockets. But she can then take the power in that to say, who is it that I want to work with out of these pool of people that I'm reaching in? Because I might be in this big pool of people and I'm attracting all these ones that are coming in. I can then say, do I want to work with that one or do I want to work with that one? And I think that's kind of the same thing with this.
Okay.
That's my thoughts.
So I think we touched on this a little bit. How do you see the difference between adjusting our look to attract the people we want to attract versus changing who we are. Because I think a lot of people tend to hide behind, sort of rationalize it. Like, the thought of changing my style makes me uncomfortable. So that creates some cognitive dissonance. So I either have to change my worldview, which is a heavy lift because we're talking about how I present myself to the world, which is a big deal, or it's easy to just rationalize it and like, well, people should just accept me for who I am. And I think a lot of the time, yes, people should accept people for who they are. But sometimes that doesn't mean we can't keep evolving.
Okay.
Maybe that's some of the trouble I have with what you said, because maybe it stands a little too close to everyone should accept me for who I am and I shouldn't have to change one whiff.
Okay.
And from an attitude of there's absolutely nothing wrong with me and nothing that I can grow in.
See, I think that's totally opposite of the way things. I don't want to say should, the way things can be, because it comes down to messaging and marketing. Everything always comes down to messaging and marketing. Like if Joe Schmo, okay, I'll give you a perfect example. Shout out to Matthew Lesko.
Maybe let's go.
Question mark suit. He's been doing that for well over 40 years. I'm guesstimating over 40 because he was doing it before me.
Oh, okay.
So he found his true self in one of those suits. The moment that he started to exude his core message of, to get ahead in life, you need to ask better questions. To get the things you want, you need to ask better questions. He embodied his message so much that he went to manufacture suits. He attracts certain people. Mm-hmm. And he grew into understanding who he attracts based off of his messaging, based off of his pricing, based off of his offer, based off of all these other factors, including himself.
Yes.
And I'm going to get to the thing I wanted to say.
Okay.
He didn't conform to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
He understood where he fit, and he worked that space. If you want to go to the whole thing of that circle of people to reach, if he understood that I only needed to reach a small sector within this big circle, and this thing has infinite possibilities because there's always people growing up into their, teens and 20s, maybe even 30s, and then the baby boomers. I will consistently always have people because they still get older. So to wrap on it, he found where he wanted to be, and he knew the people he was going to serve. He didn't have to conform to anyone.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting people need to conform. I'm talking about the person who doesn't become Matthew Lesko, their version of Matthew Lesko, because they stop short and rationalize, well, people should just accept me for who I am. But
that's what he did.
No, I'm talking about the person who stops before that. Matthew Lesko, I'm sure Matthew Lesko didn't just become Matthew Lesko. He's like, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to get a suit. And everything was perfect. And as it was in the end, in the beginning, I'm highly suspicious that that's the case. There's evolution. I'm talking about the person who's so resistant to evolving themselves that they don't become their version of Matthew Lesko because they've rationalized a reason that they shouldn't have to change, as though change is bad, because we have this resistance to change.
Okay.
And we equate making any type of change, even a small one, as conforming. I think that's why you even brought it up. I'm not talking about conforming to someone else's idea. I'm talking about personal development. I'm talking about, like, I want to evolve my style. I'm in the middle. This is not exactly what I want. Like, this is okay. Like, I'm doing stuff with my hair, whatever. This shirt's kind of cute, whatever. Thank you. But I want to take it to the next level. Like, I could be like, I think it's easy to have a really small voice say, I don't want to change. It's scary. I don't know what I would even do. Sounds like a lot of work, and I'd probably make myself look worse. People should just accept me for who I
All
am.
right.
I'm wondering how we get at that.
I think there needs to be a level of comfort in self to get there. And
Willingness to look at yourself critically.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
There's a point, I think, in every entrepreneur's evolution where they have self-doubt,
Mm-hmm.
and they have to face who they are at that time. I can agree with that. I think that that's real. It doesn't take away from me the notion that you can still be who you are.
Yes.
And find the people that love you.
Yes.
The article that's been around for ages is like the 1,000 fans that everyone needs. There's musicians that I listen to who probably will never make it to mainstream, but they don't need mainstream.
Sure.
Because they have that dedicated group of people that will always show up at their shows, that will buy everything that they make, that will go to every show, And I think that carries over in the same thing in entrepreneurship, because just in my space, there's tons of people who are literally and figuratively hated. They're hated because of the way they present themselves, their messaging, what they offer, all types of things that are completely irrational. But it's a part of the game, because there's going to be that other group that's going to love them no matter what, and will support them when they present, when they do their webinars, when they come up with their new release, whatever. So yeah, there are some that need to figure out, okay, if I want to sell, $2,000+ offer, I might need to, wear high and tight. And there's some that's like, okay, for me to sell $2,000 or more, I need to wear orange and have a trucker baseball cap, and I'm blanking on who I'm thinking of. Chris Record. So for someone to fall into the gap, yeah, it could be them, trying this, trying that. I mean, even when I got started online, even though my style may have not changed much, my persona has changed some. Mm-hmm. And I think that also fits within the style of evolving into who you are.
Yeah, I guess I'm just hoping everyone listening or watching is willing
to do some self-discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I'm hoping my work, I'm hoping your work, I'm hoping this show can plant some seeds for change. And that includes people figuring out how they can present themselves to the world in a way that is most meaningful and soul stirring for them.
I was waiting.
Thank you, Timothy.
Uh-huh.
and while they're doing that, they're willing to push the boundaries, whether they're leaning into a more feminine style, masculine style, non-binary style, like whatever they're doing, but still being mindful that an adjustment you might be making is not necessarily equivalent to conformity.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I guess I'm trying to distill. I guess as I'm editing it, I'll be able to distill our discussion into some basic things that we were able to agree on, because there were a couple things we were in agreement about. But it's hard to know how to wrap this up.
I know how to wrap it up.
How?
So, all of you great people out there in the world, don't worry so much about your appearance. That's what I got to say. Kraft sells cheese. Their revolution was Kraft singles. Work on your Kraft singles. Don't worry about trying to be Kraft.
Well, all right.
That deserves that.
I guess be a Kraft single, everybody. No, that's not the.
Work on your Kraft single.
Well, you mixed the metaphor a little bit. Work on finding your Kraft single.
Yes, don't worry about being Kraft.
All right.
All of y'all get it out there. I know you do.
Well,
send in your comments and all that good stuff.
I guess, yeah. Put in your comments. We'll think on this, I guess, and if we do a second one, we'll take it in a new direction based on your comments and whatever little nuggets of wisdom Tim comes up with. Oh, I knew you were gonna. You had to tell. You looked at it.
All right, let's wrap this thing up. Should I set you up?
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. As always, subscribe. Whether it is in iTunes or anywhere you listen to podcasts, or if you happen to be on YouTube, subscribe and hit that alert button. So I'm Tim.
I'm Tanisha. And remember, opinions are not facts. Do your research and have fun in the fight. Bye.
Booyah.